I also think it's important to share your business plan with other people. Let other critics review it, and also let other people help you hold yourself accountable. Most salespeople, mortgage and real estate professionals, are terrible at holding themselves accountable. That's one of the areas that I'm unique as a broker. I am a boss and I am in charge. And I tell them, if you're not looking to be ridden like Seabiscuit, I'm the wrong broker for you because I'm going to stay on top of you. I don't like second place. I don't like excuses. I don't have any tolerance for losers whatsoever.
Welcome to Stop Whining About Real Estate. Join us as we chat, sip, banter, and wine with the best in the biz. Grab a glass of your favorite vino, sit back, relax, and let's wine together. Welcome to Stop Whining About Real Estate, where we sip, spill, and strategize about all of things real estate and mortgage. Today, we're joined by one of South Florida's most respected brokers, Ben Schachter, broker and owner of Signature Real Estate Companies. We're talking about something very successful professional people have in common, a plan. Why business planning isn't just a January checkbox, but your blueprint for growth. And later, we'll dive into the hottest market trends shaping South Florida right now.
Afternoon, this is Emmanuel St. Germain from Choice Mortgage Group. I am your host of Stop Whining About Real Estate. I've got my co-host, Sarah Birnbaum, and we've got a special guest, one of our very, very close friends, Ben Schachter from Signature Real Estate Companies and all things Signature in general, a.k.a. Mr. Jordan. Welcome, Ben. How are you, sir?
Emmanuel, Sarah, thank you so much for having me. I love spending time with you, and it's a great privilege to have an afternoon to chat with you and discuss some great topics today.
You know, Ben was our second guest ever.
I almost said first as I was doing the introduction.
He couldn't make it on the first day.
I don't know if you could hear it, but my voice.
I can always hear your brain.
I had a memory. I was like, oh, I almost said first, and I was like, oh no, he wasn't.
No, he couldn't make it on that day. It was David Searle.
Yes, there you go.
And we had to take Ben second because he was fully booked. And Ben was our second official guest, and we are on our 70th episode, I want to say, maybe 72nd.
Feels like a lifetime having to do this with you. Just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. All right, awesome. Let's get into it. Ben, so Ben does a coaching with some of his agents in his company, and we have the privilege of getting to sit on that coaching. And a few weeks ago, he was doing something really, really interesting that I don't see many people in the real estate industry as well as the mortgage industry do, which is business planning. And in my coaching group in the past, we've done whiteboarding, which is a similar type of much shorter, condensed than a business plan, but it all boils down to the same thing. 2026 is around the corner. We're filming this almost the middle of November. And so what are you going to do in 2026? And do you just sit back? Do you just relax? Do you let things happen to you, or do you create a plan? So Ben, how long have you been teaching agents to do a business plan? And let's kind of dive into it a little bit.
Well, it actually goes back to high school. The very first business plan that I wrote was as a high school junior. I was in a group called DECA, Distributive Education Clubs of America, and we wrote a business plan and then competed in a competition to present our business plan to would-be judges who were bankers, asking them for a loan for our business plan. So my first business plan was 16 years old. I'm 47, so for 31 years, I've been writing business plans every single year. Academic as a kid, my first professional business plan was 21 years old when I first got out of college. I've been teaching realtors for 20 years now how to write their business plan because I think it's crucial. You cannot go into business and just cross your fingers and pray and hope for luck. Mm-hmm. Business is a competitive environment. There's a lot of opportunities, but there's a lot of threats. And if you don't iron out a solid business plan with all the appropriate parts and monitor that business plan and make tweaks as necessary, you're just taking a gamble. And I don't want to gamble with my money. I wouldn't want to have my agents gamble with theirs.
What percentage of agents, and you answer agents, I'll answer loan officers as we kind of go through some of this stuff. What percentage of agents do you think do a business plan?
More than half of my agents do a business plan because I am adamant about it. I drive home for the entire last quarter of each year, how important it is to plan for the next year, and I express to them the importance of it, and I show the value, the ROI, on having an effective business plan. Nationwide, for the over 1.5 million realtors in the country, I bet fewer than 1% write business plans. It's just not part of their MO. Most people who get into the business of real estate are not business people, so they don't think that way. You have to have a certain discipline, a certain mindset, and you have to be prepared.
Yeah. And so the funny part is that obviously, as he's talking about, I realize I'm going to have to answer. And I don't think one of our loan officers, including, so we run our company through EOS, which is essentially on a weekly, quarterly, annual, 5-year, 10-year basis. So I would say that that is my version of a business plan rather than a document that's built out for a year, because it is constantly ever evolving. But outside of that, I don't know that any of our loan officers, I know that we've talked about it. I know that you've sat with some agents last year. We used it as an opportunity to kind of go over and to your point, like I think one of my greater strengths is I think I'm a better business person in that general area than necessarily just being a strict loan officer. And so it's whatever you bring to the table. You can sit with someone and, you know, listen, there's a lot of components to being a real estate agent. Marketing, you've got to take account into your accounting. One of the things you mentioned the other day regarding the business planning is how so many of the agents that you had previewed, none of them had accounted for their income taxes.
It's only 1/3 of the money you make. It wasn't even a mindset to have it in their business plan whatsoever.
But it makes sense, and that's the point of having a business plan. And that's what I love so much about it, is that you only know what you know. And the purpose of going through the exercise, the purpose of writing out, what am I going to do in order to write $20 million in volume in loans as a loan officer? Okay, well, how are you going to get to that? And, start with working it backwards. Do you think every single month is even? And I know, for us in South Florida, it's not. We definitely, we don't expect January and February to be as strong as the summer months. And so you can't just take 20 million and divide it by 12 and say, this is my goal. You've got to actually put some thought into it. And also the other piece that happens is that some loan officers are able to get a loan very quickly. Others are not. Others, it takes lots of time and effort reaching out to agents, to broker owners like yourself, developing relationships. It's not so simple as, hey, Ben, does any of your agents have a deal that got denied that you want me to try and fix? And then all of a sudden I've got an opportunity. So talk a little bit in the Realtor specific business plan. What are some of the components? And let's break them down a little bit.
There's several critical components. First of all, your business plan has to be in writing. A lot of people tell me it's upstairs. That's completely unacceptable. You have to have something you can refer to that could be a little bit pliable, but it has to have a framework. Because if it's upstairs, you're just constantly dreaming and changing and not sticking to a plan. You're just praying. So it's got to be in writing. You have to have a mission statement or a goal statement for yourself. What is the objective? And it's not always just dollars. Most people think, I want to make $100,000 a year. I want to make $100 million a year. There's a lot of goals that go into goal setting and planning. You want to think about your volume. You want to think buyers, sellers, landlords, tenants, how many of each. You want to think about sales prices. You want to think about what commission charges you're going to charge. You want to talk about your geographical area. Where do you want to expand to? Even referrals. Agents typically come up with a mindset of how many dollars they want to earn, but they have no recipe of how they're ever going to get to that. And in fact, when I read some of my own agents' drafts of their business plans, the math doesn't even add up. I want to work with 10 customers this year with an average of $5,000 commission, and I want to make $100,000. How'd you come up with that math? That doesn't work. It's preposterous. So they have to have goals and objectives and plans, really like a mission statement. You have to have a path of how you're going to get there. What percentage of your customers are going to come from referral? Who are going to come from advertising? What type of advertising? How are you going to market yourself? Is it print? Is it display? Is it social media? How are you going to build your sphere of influence? Very, very important. Always include a SWOT analysis in your business plan. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You really want to capitalize on your own strengths. You want to improve your weaknesses. You want to explore the opportunities, and you want to do everything you can to defend against the threats. Very, very important. Budgeting. How much will you be spending? What do you need to make? You need to have multiple tiers of your objectives. In a business plan, in the financial component, what do you need just to get by and pay your bills? Barely sustain. What would be a nice to have and what would be absolutely out of this world? So you should have 3 layers of income expectations for yourself. Very, very important. You also want to think about in your business plan how you're going to achieve that throughout the year. You mentioned a moment ago that the business throttles different months in South Florida where we're predominantly doing our business. What months do you make more money? What months do you make less money? So think about how that throttles. Really important. It all has to be in writing. I insist that it's typed out for several reasons. Number one, it's neater, it's more organized. But number two, it's a lot easier in subsequent years to make tweaks to a previously typed document versus handwriting it out year after year after year. Very, very important. I also think it's important to share your business plan with other people. Let other critics review it, and also let other people help you hold yourself accountable. Most salespeople, mortgage and real estate professionals, are terrible at holding themselves accountable. That's one of the areas that I'm unique as a broker. I am a boss and I am in charge. And I tell them, if you're not looking to be ridden like Seabiscuit, I'm the wrong broker for you because I'm going to stay on top of you. I don't like second place. I don't like excuses. I don't have any tolerance for losers whatsoever. So
This
I
is
wanna
why
stay
we
on
get
top of
along
people.
so well.
That's the truth. So there's really many components, and you should have some critiques. You should have people give you feedback. You should have people that help you hold yourself accountable while you also hold yourself accountable. All that's important in business planning.
I love the accountability piece, and I think that so much of that for me is everything you need, whether you're trying to train and trying to lose weight, or whether you're, like everybody has all these New Year's goals, and a New Year's goal, the problem with it is it's simply just it's a distraction and it's a reason for something, but they don't really put a real plan of attack. Like I always kid, and I've always said that diets start on Monday. Hey, totally cool if you're going to start it on Monday, but you know what I 90% of the time I don't do? I didn't go meal prep so that on Sunday, so that my actual diet started Monday and I was ready to go. It's more just a delay. And I think that if salespeople, in particularly, we have so much freedom in our side of the real estate, like in our real estate world, that they don't have hours. They don't come and go. You get to make as much money as you want or as little as you end up getting it, depending on how successful you are, how hard you work. So I think so much of so many people in the beginning, they crave that structure, because I think without it, they're lost. And if you don't have that kind of structure, and I think that that's one of the reasons that I obviously I really like the role that we created for Sarah, was that it was a mixture of both. So, there's a salary component, and there's a commission component for how she's compensated. So I don't tell her what to do on an hourly basis, but at the same token, it's not like a loan officer or a realtor, and that they can do whatever they want. Talk a little bit about your business planning and I guess your experiences with it in general.
Sure. So I started business planning probably mostly in this role just because I needed to figure out a plan of attack for the following year. I knew I wanted my numbers to grow year over year, which I want to say luckily, but it wasn't luck, it was work. They have. And you have given me a lot of freedom to kind of go about this role as I thought we should, and using your guidance and help. And we've, restructured, but really starting the business plan within this role. And what I found was also helping agents to business plan was a good way for, one, help them get organized, two, be that person that was going to help them kind of think about their next year. It helps to insert Choice Mortgage as a partner of theirs of, hey, what are we going to do to grow together and work together? But I think in doing so and putting these small groups together to do the business planning, and I've done it the last 3 years, it makes you take a look at the year that you're about to finish and what you really did with your time and how you spent it and the things that did work. So there's actions that they were taking that could have been a huge waste of time and didn't amount to anything. No revenue, nothing came from it, no relationships, and not everything is a direct deal. Sometimes you meet somebody or you connect with something that connects you to further business. But just understanding where that time went and how it was spent and what came from it, and then what worked. And then really kind of being honest with themselves, and me included, when we were in the rooms together, and saying, how could you have spent your time a little bit more wisely to create more revenue? If you're 10 million short of the goal that you had set for yourself this current year, what are some of the things that you could have done to create that extra 10? Where are some places where you fell short? Where are the days where you just decided that you weren't going to do anything and went to yoga instead and had a reset day or whatever it is that you were doing, where you could have, hit the pedal to the metal and really kind of taken off. So I think it makes you take a look inward, which most people don't like doing because they're just like, well, if I work harder or if I do more of all of the things, it'll amount to more business. And that's not necessarily always true. And really kind of being honest with themselves and really figuring out what works for them, because everybody's business is different and everybody finds where they're going to get their business in different places. The other thing that I found that was very helpful is creating that accountability within the people that I was doing the business planning with and saying, hey, listen, let's put some benchmarks on next year as to checking in with each other and seeing how things are going. Are you living up to the promises that you made for yourself in the business plan? Are you doing the activities that you said that were going to get you there? How
Which
are
is
things
obviously
going?
a free, easy way for you to do a follow-up as well. So,
1000%. But still, I'm helping.
no.
Let's grow
it's not
business
right.
together. Your business growth is my business growth. Let's do this together. And I'm here to help you with it. So I think that's a huge benefit. But that was something that I found to be very valuable. And I wasn't, above it. I was doing it with them. I was business planning with them. I was looking at my faults and where I could have spent my time more wisely and, kind of reviewing it with them. But I think it's an excellent tool. And I think if you go into a year as a salesperson without an idea and a framework and a how to get to the number that you want, whether it's a number, listings, buyers, builders, whatever it is that your goal is, how are you going to get there? And what are the metrics or the systems that you're going to use? You can hope and pray, but then go play the lotto.
Oh, you know the saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Exactly.
So it's really, really important to be organized. It's great that you brought up the constant check-ins.
Mhm.
And yes, it's great to cultivate business in that particular role, but that's one of the biggest missteps that most people in business planning make. If they make a plan, they don't always read up on it.
Right.
And I want our agents reading their business plan no less than once per month, top to bottom, and not skimming it. That way they know if they're accountable to what they said they're going to do. And it's amazing how many people by January 31st are already way off track.
And they're done
And
looking
it's
at it.
very hard to catch back up in the next 11 months if you totally blew it in January.
Yeah.
You have to stay on track the whole time. There can be setbacks. We understand things happen. But if you're way behind the eight ball, 1/12 of the way through the year, the chance of catching
Right.
up is extremely unlikely.
Let's get into the market and time management, which will tie in. The time management will tie into what we're talking about. One of the things that I think happens, obviously, you run many companies. I've got mine, and our days become extremely booked via calendar. And I remember that when I was a loan officer, it's not like that. And most realtors in this market, it's not like that where there's a lot of open spaces. So how would we teach a loan officer or a realtor to really use a calendar to structure your day, to book yourself, to make sure you're doing the right activities in order for you to be successful? Because you can list so many different things they could do, but if someone goes door knocking every single day, they're going to burn out. If somebody makes 200 phone calls every day, they're going to burn out. So you need some sort of balance, move it around, try in the morning, try in the afternoon, try in the evening. How do you teach time management calendar wise to someone who doesn't have a full calendar schedule like you and I? Like you and I, we fit something in because we care about it. We prioritize it. Thank you for being on the show with us today and going out of your way to do that. But what do we teach people who aren't so busy?
My first comment is I respectfully disagree. I don't think there is a burnout when it comes to door knocking or cold calling. If you're doing it right, you're going to see an ROI. The problem is most people don't give it enough time. They knock on 200 doors, they throw in the towel, they said this didn't work. But that 201st door might have been that listing you were looking for. That 101st phone call might have been the one that decided to buy a house with you. What you really have to do is figure out what your average income is per transaction, and then figure out what your expectations for hourly or daily or weekly earnings are, and then figure out how many calls or how many doors you have to knock in that 1 day or that 5 day period of time to generate that income. In our marketplace, if the average home here, where we are in South Florida, let's just say it's about $600,000 median right now, in my world of real estate, someone is going to make between $18,000 and $36,000 selling that property. That's more than most people will ever dream of making in a month's time.
Mhm.
So if you have to knock on 1,000 doors in a 30-day period of time, 4 weeks of the month, Monday to Friday, to make $18,000 to $36,000, that's a great ROI. That's a phenomenal ROI to make $18,000 to $36,000 a month. That's where people go off the track, though. They cut their window too short. They're ironing out the kinks. They're honing their skill set. They're improving their capability, and then they're done. And you have to be consistent. Now, I'm not saying go forever. If you're going 30 days and you haven't generated business, yes, you need to shake something up, because now you're just
Right.
pissing away time. There's no doubt about it. But if you put in the time and you do it right, and you have someone coaching you, guiding you, mentoring you, and you've got some constructive feedback on how to get better, then you will start to see an improvement. With regard to your specific question about scheduling, I'm all about the time block. The biggest curse in my business is a 1099, and it's not quite as cursed as a mortgage professional, but it is similar, is our realtors don't see an hourly wage. They see only commissions. So if they don't see a direct income tied to their exact activity at that moment, they don't want to do it, or they'll put up excuses or filler space in their personal life to consume what should be working time. Your workday, Monday through Friday, at a minimum, I'm not telling you to work 7 days a week. I work 7, you work 7. Not everyone does. And I'm not telling you it's 9 to 5 either. It might be 7 to 7, but you've got to put in the time. Time block everything. You're going to time block your lead generation, which could be door knocking or telephone solicitations, text solicitations, cold calls, what have you, whatever you're doing to solicit business. A period of time to work on the business that's already in your pipeline. A period of time to cultivate whatever marketing you might be doing for yourself. It all should be on your calendar. Emmanuel, I'm so scheduled. Every phone call I have to make is a 10-minute time block on my calendar. I won't make the call if it's not there, because I'll forget. Every single thing I do is on the calendar. People ask me all the time, will you meet for lunch? If you're going out to cultivate business and there's a lead opportunity to generate income, I'll make time for lunch. If it's to shoot the breeze, I'll do that with you on a Saturday or Sunday. Monday through Friday, that is hustle time. That is grind time. That is not social hour. And too many people treat it as social hour. So I think using your calendar effectively to block out every responsibility you have is very important. Just because you have nothing on your calendar doesn't mean you're free. There's always an opportunity. There's always an opportunity during that 30-minute or 60-minute or half-day block of time to cultivate new business through touching base with past contacts, past leads, past customers, past closings, and trying to drum up new business. There is no downtime when you're building a business. When you're making 6 or 7 healthy figures a year and you're satisfied with your income and you're not looking to push it, take all the time you want.
Yeah.
Relax.
Best part about all of this audio is I can't wait to create a little 10-second like video that says exactly what he just said, but talking about it, I can just send it every time, like Sarah doesn't have something, or not just you, but anyone doesn't have anything on their calendar.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll think of you, not
Talk
him.
a little bit about how you use your calendar in order to book everything.
So I will say this. When I first started in sales a lot of years ago, before I was in the mortgage world, I was in a different sales role. And the freedom that I had was enormous. I didn't have an office, so what I made of my day was mine. I was heavily structured on a bonus, and it was 150% of my goal that I had to make in order to get to my bonus. There was a salary, but you wanted your bonus. And I remember when I first started, the idea of the free time and being able to structure my day the way that I needed to sounded amazing. What ended up happening, because I was new and I didn't know how to structure my day, is I would almost get paralyzed with, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to fill my time. There's so many activities that I was told that I should go do. I just don't know which ones to do today. And I don't know which ones to do right now and how many and how long of each. And so there was this like, you overthink it and don't know what to do. And then you go, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do this, and then I'll do this. And if you're not in the practice of the discipline of it, time blocking of it, organization of it, and actually going out and doing it, you get stuck in this rut where you it's like a kid. Kids don't like rules, but they behave a lot better when they have boundaries and rules and structure. So I think until you understand how important that is and understanding what you need to do to kind of make that your day to day, you get stuck in it. And I think there's, sure, it's laziness or not discipline, but also I think there's the unknown of I don't know how to do this. So like maybe there is something to be said about really explaining how that works. And I get it, 1099, they don't want to listen to that, but I think that's part of it. I'm now 10 plus years into sales, and my role is partially structured, partially not structured. And like Emmanuel said, like he's not watching my every single hour, but my calendar is pretty full every single day of the week, whether it's stuff that I'm doing for the company, stuff that I'm doing for our partnerships, stuff that I'm doing with outbound, going to meet new agents, new people, new things, or networking events, or stuff within the association. So I'm kind of all over the place. There's certain things that I know that I have to do, and it's not going to give me a result tomorrow, but in 2 months' time, when my pipeline is going a little bit low, it's going to be because the 2 months before, I wasn't on top of certain activities that I knew I had to tackle, and kind of just went, oh, well, it's on my calendar for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I don't have the time this week, so I'm just going to bypass it. And I think, you start to see the pain points of not doing those things, and you go, okay, this is why they're on my calendar. This is why they're important. I really need to tackle these things. And so you become better at organizing your time. There's days where I have 0 appointments with anybody. So I may not have to, be on as far as going out and being, over facing with agents and people and referral partners. But there's a ton of stuff on the back end that I have to do, follow up and catch up and emails and, reaching out to people, phone calls and everything else. So I block my week according to, and I try to front load all of the appointments and stuff into the same couple of days. And as a girl, I do it because there's makeup and there's hair and there's clothes and outfits and all kinds of stuff.
This is easy to do?
Right. Well, yeah. And so like those are my days. And then there's other days where I'm spent, I'm on the phone a lot, I'm on my computer a lot. But it took years to kind of develop that balance and really understand that there's an importance in every single one of those. Some I love, some I loathe, but I still do them. But I think that there's, I think agents, when they get into this industry, they go, oh, I have all this time, I can just do whatever I want. And then they freeze because they go, I'm supposed to do all this stuff, but I don't know which one to tackle first. I just don't know what to do. I'm going to do nothing. What a fantastic episode full of so many useful points. Stay tuned for part 2 when we come back with Ben Schachter. Okay, that's enough whining for one day. We are so happy that you could join us today on Stop Whining About Real Estate. So please, not only listen, but subscribe, follow us, download, share, and if you're feeling it, give us a 5-star review. Hey, and if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email stopwhining@choicemortgage.com. Thanks so much.